Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnaprishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Om Vishnupadaya Krishnaprishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasata Dishatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasata Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, हिरण्यकशिपु तनुवृन्दा
केशवतीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंह हरे जय नरसिंह हरे जय नरसिंह हरे जय नरसिंह हरे
Narasimhadev Jaya Narasimhadev His Divine Grace, Abhay Charnarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Acharya Shri Srimad. His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन धाम की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, thank you everyone for joining us for the Aarti today. And as I indicated earlier, the next part of the temple program is usually a Vedic discourse, and today the topic is the glories of the Bhagavad Gita. And our speaker today is our very own His Grace Adishyam Prabhu, and he will speak about the glories of the Bhagavad Gita. And just so everybody here knows, whoever doesn't know, we have copies of the Bhagavad Gita at the Namaste Supermarket in Windsor. It's on Walker Road. You can Google Namaste Supermarket. It's quite big, so we have copies there. We've very successfully been able to sell a few copies already. So there's still about 3 or 4 copies. If you're going anytime soon to do any grocery shopping, then that's something that you should also put in your cart. But in addition to that, if you're looking to pick one up today, then we have a few copies in our boutique. If you are interested in a language of choice which is not on the table here, no problem. We can pre-order it for you. Just let us know, one of us, you can let us know which language you would like, and we can go from there. Welcome, Adishyam Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As always, we will start with 10 minutes of kirtan. The purpose of singing kirtan is to focus our minds. I know we've had some already with the Aarti, but it is to focus our minds and soften our hearts so the message of the Gita can go in and embed itself. It's a simple bhajan, so I'll sing and you can repeat after. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Hare Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radhe Shyam, 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 Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva Mai Subhadra, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva Mai Subhadra, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। Now we chant Mangalacharan prayers. For those who are familiar, please stand with me. Rest of you, please just listen. The intent of these prayers is to bring auspiciousness, and so we always start a program with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya
चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
So today's topic is Glories of Bhagavad Gita. And it's a very, some of you are at least new, so you may not feel it, but for those of us who have been associated with ISKCON for a while, Bhagavad Gita is the first book that's handed to us, right? More often than not. And even every week in these programs and these types of sessions, we discuss Bhagavad Gita. And what tends to happen is familiarity breeds contempt, right? So when it becomes so easily accessible, we tend to forget or we tend to overlook the importance of Bhagavad Gita. So this Gita Jayanti that was this week is a good occasion for us to remind ourselves of the glories of Bhagavad Gita. So we'll start off with a basic question, right? What is the Bhagavad Gita? And there are no, I just want your perspective on what do you think is Bhagavad Gita? At least one or two thoughts. Everybody's familiar with Bhagavad Gita, right? You've at least heard of it. What do you think? What is your impression or what is your understanding of what is Bhagavad Gita?
A way to live, how to live as a human being.
Very nice. It is the way to live as a human being, right? So like a manual for life, human life. Very nice. What else? Anybody else?
It's spoken by Krishna himself. So Gita is the song.
It is spoken by Krishna, right? So the Bhagavad Gita is one of the 108 Upanishads, right? And it is considered to be the summary of all the Vedas. And because it was spoken by Krishna, so we'll talk a little bit more about that today. And it is also the manual. It gives us instructions for how to live our life, right? So that is Bhagavad Gita. But to understand what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, right? So we'll read again from the Gita. This is chapter 3, verse 30. It's a short purport, but it's a very powerful purport. I'll read the shloka in the translation. Mai sarvani karmani sannyasyatyatma chetasa nidashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvaraha. This is Krishna speaking. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship,
and free from lethargy fight. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This verse clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties, as if in military discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of the living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord, he had only to execute his order. The Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls, therefore one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious, is called Adhyatma Chetas. Nirashi means that one has to act on the order of the master but should not expect fruitive results. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the real purport of Mai, or unto me. And when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. This consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there is any reluctance to execute such a stern order, which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in the bodily relationship, that reluctance should be thrown off. In this way, one may become vigata jwara, or without feverish mentality or lethargy. Everyone, according to his quality and position, has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness as described above. That will lead one to the path of liberation. So to the point that Prabhu made, the purpose of the Gita is to give us a way to live our life, right? Why should we, do we need somebody to tell us or something to tell us the purpose of our lives? Right? If you think about it, all of us, or most people in this world, are living their lives, right? They are running fast. They are constantly running non-stop. Right? The pace of life has increased significantly and drastically. But the problem is everyone is running, but nobody is running towards a particular direction. We all have goals that we have set for ourselves. Every time we achieve that goal, we set one more goal, right? But every time we reach that goal, we don't feel the satisfaction that we expected to achieve, right? So, this material world is full of miseries. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that this material world is full of miseries. And if you think about it, most happiness in this material world is like that. It is either temporary or it leads to misery. Whatever achievements that we may have had was the same, right? If buying a house was your dream and you got it, you suddenly realize all the maintenance headaches that come with it, the insurance, the property taxes, and everything that comes with it, right? If it's a car, same thing. Everything in life that we think materially is an achievement, when we get it, there is some misery attached to it, and it is temporary as well. Right? Your favorite sweet or your favorite dish, your favorite movie, the more you watch, more often you're repeating it, the less joy you get from it. Right? So the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to deliver us from this nescience of material existence. And how to do that? It is by reviving our Sanatana Dharma. That is our eternal occupation, which is to serve the Supreme Lord. Now one may say that doesn't sound good. Why should I serve? I want to be master, right? We all want to be masters. But the problem is none of us really are.
We don't even have mastery over our own body, right? All of us have fallen sick at some point or the other. Many times at really difficult times, right? You're like, oh, I have something important coming up and I fell sick now. If we had mastery over, we don't even have mastery over our own body. We can't control the growth of our nail even, right? So what control do we have? In fact, we spend most of our time serving others. You may be serving your family, you may be serving your neighbors, your country, your society, different things. But every action we do, right, we are serving our bosses, whatever it is. Every action we do tends to be in the form of service. And that is why Prabhupada says in the purport that our position is to serve. The question is not should I serve, because I'm already serving. The question is recognizing that I'm already serving. The question should be who do I serve? And the Bhagavad Gita's primary purpose is to guide us to serving the Supreme Lord. And this purpose is the same purpose for which Krishna descends. Krishna comes to Paritranaya Sadhuna, right? To deliver the pious. How? By engaging them in serving Him, by attracting pious people in serving Him. Right? And the Bhagavad Gita is here to do that day in and day out, easily accessible to us. And this science of Bhagavad Gita is really old, right? This is, I can read from the preface of the Bhagavad Gita, but the key, I'll read some key sections or numbers, then that should give us a perspective, right? This is from Mahabharata, Shanti Parva 348, 51 and 52. We can trace out the history of the Gita as follows. In the beginning of the millennium known as Treta Yuga, this science of the relationship with the Supreme was delivered by Vivaswan to Manu. Manu, being the father of mankind, gave it to his son Maharaja Ikshvaku, the king of this earth planet and forefather of the Raghu dynasty, in which Lord Ramachandra appeared. So if you think about it, Treta Yuga is around 1.2 million years duration. Dwapar Yuga is around 800,000 years in duration. Kali Yuga is around 432,000 years in duration. Right? And so, even in this Yuga cycle itself, since Treta Yuga started, it's been over 2 million years already, because we are 5,000 odd years into Kali Yuga. But if you see that the Manu, or son, Krishna will say in the Bhagavad Gita that he spoke this Gita to Vivaswan. Evam Vivasutam Proktam. He says that I spoke to son Lord Vivaswan before the birth of Manu. The lifetime or duration of Manu is about 3 million years. 320 million years. Sorry, 320 million years. That is the duration of Manu. And this particular Manu has been reigning for over 120 million years already. So the Bhagavad Gita was spoken at least over 120 million years ago. And Krishna re-established that 5,000 years ago when he came on this planet. He re-established it by speaking to Arjuna. So the Bhagavad Gita is timeless. It's been proven effective for millions of years. So now I'll read certain glories of Bhagavad Gita. This is from Varaha Puran, Gita Mahatmya from Varaha Puran. Mother Earth said, "O Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, how can unflinching devotion arise in him who is immersed in his prarabdha karmas, or worldly life, O Lord?" Lord Vishnu said, "Though engaged in the performance of worldly duties, one who is regular in the study of the Gita becomes free. He is the happy man in this world. He is not bound by karma.
All the sacred places of pilgrimage like Prayag and other places dwell in that place where the Gita is kept and where the Gita is read. Help comes quickly where the Gita is recited, and O earth, I ever dwell where it is read, heard, taught, and contemplated upon. If you think about it, do we all need help at some point or the other in our lives? Bhagavad Gita is the most effective way to get help when we are in trouble. So going back to what Ritika Mataji was talking about earlier, right? Just keeping a Bhagavad Gita in your house itself makes the house like a place of pilgrimage. That is the value of keeping Bhagavad Gita. So in this period, holiday period, where we tend to give gifts to our loved ones, giving Bhagavad Gita as a gift is the greatest gift that one can give, right? And so please consider giving that. If one reads a discourse or even a part of a verse daily, he, O earth, retains a human body till the end of a manvantara, which is around 300 million years. So you have to think about it. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever form or whatever we think of at the time of death, that we will attain. Right? The scriptures explain there are 84 lakh species of life forms, and human is one. So our odds of getting a human birth are 1 out of 84 lakh. But here Mahavishnu is saying, that Lord Vishnu is saying that if you read Bhagavad Gita every day, you will retain a human body till the end of a manvantara, for 300 million years. So you're beating the odds of 1 in 84 lakhs, one after the other for 300 million years if you read Bhagavad Gita every day. How many of you have heard of Shankaracharya? Have you heard of Shankaracharya? Yeah? So Shankaracharya has also spoken about Bhagavad Gita. He has written this Gita Mahatmya. Shankaracharya is considered to be an avatar of Lord Shiva. So I'll read a few verses, or there are 6 verses here from Gita Mahatmya by Sri Shankaracharya. One who with a regulated mind recites with devotion this Bhagavad Gita scripture, which is the bestower of all virtue, will attain to a holy abode such as Vaikuntha, the residence of Lord Vishnu, which is always free from the mundane qualities based on fear and lamentation. Text 2. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of the Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one need not read any other Vedic literature. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. In the present age, people are so absorbed in mundane activities that it is not possible for them to read all the Vedic literatures. But this is not necessary. This one book, Bhagavad Gita, will suffice, because it is the essence of all Vedic literatures, and especially because it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, that is the point that Ajay Prabhu was making, right, on what is Bhagavad Gita. See, there are millions and millions of shlokas that make up the Vedic scriptures. It is impossible for one to study them all.
10,000 years.
Right? Yeah, it will take thousands and thousands of years to study them all. But this is Adi Shankaracharya, who is not a Vaishnava, right? Who propounded the Advaitavad, the monastic philosophy. But he is saying that if you read Bhagavad Gita, you don't need to read any other Vedic literature. That is the value of Bhagavad Gita. By drinking the Ganges waters of the Gita, the divine quintessence of the Mahabharata, emanating from the holy lotus mouth of the Lord Vishnu, one will never take rebirth in this material world again. In other words, by devotionally reciting the Gita, the cycle of birth and death is terminated. We have every day in our life, all of us are trying to solve problems, right? With the goal of being happy. That is our goal. Everybody's goal is to be happy. And we are trying to solve a lot of problems and issues that are stopping us from being happy. But we are not able to solve them, right? We may solve one, but something else comes up, right? And that is a symptom or sign of this material world. Prabhupada says that there are 4 key problems that science or any sort of advancement has not been able to solve. That is birth, death, disease, and old age. Right? No matter what we do, these 4 are ever present. But reading Bhagavad Gita, see, if you take birth, why does it matter, right? If you take birth in this material world, that means disease, old age, and death are coming. There is no doubt about it. We saw with the COVID, when the pandemic hit, so many people who were in the prime of their health passed away, right? No matter what their state was, it didn't matter. No matter how rich, how poor, it didn't make as much of a difference, right? So nothing material could protect them. So the best way is to not take birth at all in this material world. And for that assurance, one must devotionally recite the Gita. One must understand the Gita in the mood of devotion. Then one will not take this cycle of birth and death is terminated. One will not take birth again. Text 6. All the Upanishads are like a cow, and the milker of the cow is Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda. Arjuna is the calf. The beautiful nectar of the Gita is the milk. And the fortunate devotees of fine theistic intellect are the drinkers and enjoyers of that milk. Text 7. There need be only one holy scripture, the divine Gita sung by Lord Sri Krishna. Only one worshipable Lord, Lord Sri Krishna. Only one mantra, his holy names, and only one duty, devotional service unto the supreme worshipable Lord Sri Krishna. It's a very emphatic verse. Right. Now one may wonder that, no, yes, Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago. This science came, like we talked about, millions of years ago. But is it still relevant today? Right? It is a valid question to think about. So, when you read the Gita, you will understand that it is completely relevant today. The Bhagavad Gita, if you take any book, right, many of us have done book reports. Those of us who try to take shortcuts in our education, we read the first chapter, we read the last chapter, and we write the report, right? Because we can figure out what the middle will be, doesn't matter. As long as I fill enough, I'm good, right? So actually, Srila Rupa Goswami says that that is a good way to find out what the summary of a book is. You read the beginning and you read the end, then you understand what this book is about. So Bhagavad Gita, the first verse that Krishna speaks, 2:11, he talks about Ashocha. That he says, he talks about becoming free from lamentation. That is the first verse that Krishna starts talking about. Right? He says, and then the last verse, 1866, he finishes with Ma Shuchaha. Do not lament. So the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to deliver us from our lamentation. Do we all have lamentations in our life? All of us do, right? Some more, some less, some days more, some days less. But it is almost omnipresent in our lives. So if the purpose of the Gita is to deliver us from this lamentation, and we have lamentation today, then it is applicable to this day and age. Right? So now, I'll read. So there is this Gita Mahatmya, this is given in Padma Puran.
It is actually a conversation between Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati. So I'm going to read Glories of just the chapter 1. That is all we will discuss, or at least that is the focus for today. We'll discuss the glories of chapter 1. So I'll read. Parvati said, "My dear husband, you know all the transcendental truths, and by your mercy I have heard the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. O Lord, now I long to hear from you the glories of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken by Lord Krishna, and by hearing which one's devotion to Lord Krishna increases." Lord Shiva replied, "That person whose body is the color of a dark rain cloud, whose carrier is the king of birds Garuda, and who is lying on the Anantasesha, the thousand-headed serpent, that Lord Vishnu, whose glories have no limit, I am always worshipping." My dear Parvati, once after Lord Vishnu had killed the demon Mura, he was resting peacefully on Anantasesha. When the bestower of all good fortune of the universe, Sri Lakshmi, respectfully inquired from him, "Bhagavan, you are the controller and maintainer of the whole universe, but yet you are sleeping unhappily on this ocean of milk. What is the reason?" Lord Vishnu said, "My dear Lakshmi, I am not sleeping, but I am watching how wonderfully my energy is working. It is by this wonderful energy of mine by which I am controlling all things and yet remain separate. And it is by remembering these divine activities of mine that the great devotees and yogis manage to free themselves from the wheel of birth and death and attain that transcendental nature of mine, which is eternal and free from all qualities." Lakshmi said, "O controller of all things, you are the goal of meditation of great yogis. Nothing can go on without you, and yet you are separate. You are the cause of creation, maintenance, and destruction of all material universes. Kindly inform me about the workings of your wonderful energies, which are so attractive that even you are lying here meditating upon them." So there is a verse that says, "Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate, Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha." So it says that the Supreme Lord's energies are Vividhaiva, that his energies are multifarious. They are there everywhere. There are so many types. And these energies are separate from him, act separately from him, basically. They are not separate from him, but they act separately from him. How? Because they have their own potency and their own intelligence and knowledge. So these energies of the Lord are so wonderful, and the way they act are perfect, that the Lord himself almost has nothing to do. He just has to monitor, and that's it. Right? So Lord Vishnu said, "My dear Lakshmi, the workings of my multifold energies and how to become free from the bonds of birth and death and attain my eternal nature can only be understood by one of pure intelligence who has an inclination to render service unto me." This transcendental knowledge is fully explained in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So this knowledge can only be understood by one of pure intelligence who has an inclination to render service. So it can only be understood in the mood of devotion. Krishna says, "Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha." He says in the Bhagavad Gita, one can only know me by devotion. And how will you know him? Tattvataha, completely, as he is. You can know him by devotion. Right? And that knowledge is fully explained in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So Lakshmi inquired, "My dear Lord, if you yourself are amazed by the workings of your energies and are ever trying to fathom their limit, then how is it possible that the Bhagavad Gita can describe those unlimited energies of yours and how to cross over them and attain the transcendental nature?" Lord Vishnu said, "I myself have manifested in the form of Bhagavad Gita. Please understand that the first 5 chapters are my 5 heads, the next 10 chapters are my 10 arms, and the 16th chapter is my stomach. The last 2 chapters are my lotus feet. In this way you should understand the transcendental deity of Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita is the destroyer of all sins
And that intelligent man who daily recites one chapter or even one shloka, one half shloka or at least one quarter shloka will attain the same position as Susharma had attained. So then Lakshmi Devi asks, who was Susharma? What class did he belong to and what destination did he attain? So let's talk through that, right? So this Lord Vishnu then narrates the pastime of Susharma. So Susharma was born in a Brahmana family, but his family did not have Vedic knowledge, right? So he was, from birth, he was very wicked, he was very sinful. He only took pleasure from hurting others, right? And he performed absolutely no pious activities at all. For his living, he would go to the forest, collect leaves and sell them in the market. And whatever money he made, he would spend that money in eating meat and drinking wine. And that's how he lived. One day he went to the garden of a sage to collect leaves and a snake bit him, right? He died and he suffered for a long time in many hellish planets. Then after that, he attained the body of a bull. And this bull was purchased by a crippled merchant. And that person made that bull carry very heavy loads, extremely heavy loads, for 7 to 8 years. Then one day, that man piled a lot of weight on that bull and was forcing the bull, hitting the bull, forcing it to go fast. And the bull just gave up and fell unconscious. So when that happened, one Brahmana who was there, who was passing by, he could see the bull was about to pass away. He came and he said, I give you whatever pious activities I have done, I give that to you, right? Or a portion of that to you. So inspired by his action, all the other passers-by did that. One by one, everybody went and did. Among this group was a prostitute. So she came and she said, I don't know if I have done anything pious. I live a very sinful life. But if I have done anything pious, I'll give you those results. Right? And then the bull dies. Immediately, because the sinful person goes straight to Yamraj. Right? The bull goes to Yamraj, and Yamraj then welcomes him and says, Susharma, he tells him, you're all set. Your record is all fully clean. You're good to go. And Susharma is like shocked. It's like, I lived such sinful lives. I suffered in hellish planets for so long. I couldn't even get a human birth. How can my karma go away in an animal form? How is that possible? All my karma should still be there. So he was totally shocked. So Yamraj, looking at his surprise, says, yeah, you got the effects, pious activities done by one woman who was in that group, and that is what relieved you. So Susharma took birth in a human form of life because his karmic balance was clean. But he could remember his past births. So what he did, the moment he grew a little bit, he went around trying to find that woman. It was like, what did she do? How can somebody who lives life as a prostitute have this much pious activities or pious karma? How is that even possible? Right? So he found her and asked her, what have you done? What pious activities did you do? Can you tell me so that I will do the same? Right? He has learned his lesson. He's suffered, he's burnt his hand. So he's learned his lesson. So she says, I haven't done any pious activity. The only thing that I do that is remotely pious is that every morning this parrot of mine recites something and I just keep hearing and I keep repeating, hearing it so much I am able to repeat. So I repeat this each and every day. That is all I do. I have done nothing else. So he's like, okay, let's find out. So they both turn to the parrot and they ask, what is it that you are reciting every day? Right? She has no knowledge of what it is even, right? She's just reciting. So the parrot, also remembering the past birth, says, I used to be a learned Brahmana in my previous births, but
but I was extremely proud of my knowledge. And with that pride came jealousy, right? When you have pride, jealousy comes automatically with it. And he was so jealous and so proud that he offended so many pious people and Vaishnavas. He offended all of them, so he had to suffer in hellish planets, and then he took birth as a parrot. His karma was still so bad that the moment he took birth, both his parents, the parrots, passed away. And so this parrot was lying on the ground, the baby parrot was lying on the ground in the heat, suffering. So some sages who saw him took pity and nurtured him back and kept him in the ashram. And he said, because this sage's ashram was Gurukul, right? Those days was Gurukul system. So kids were all learning. And he said the kids were learning and reciting the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. By hearing them repeat and repeat, I memorized it and I started to repeat it every day. A thief broke into the ashram and stole the parrot, and this woman bought it from him, from that thief. And so she has been hearing the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. Now I want to point out, the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is generally not given much importance, because Krishna has not spoken in that. It is only setting the stage. The first chapter is called setting the scene, right? It starts off describing Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. From there it goes on, and it sort of ends with Arjuna talking about his mental state of lamentation. There is really, if you think about it, many people don't give it any importance because there is not as much philosophy in it yet. There is embedded philosophy in it, but you have to research and dig and find, right? There are many nuances in the first chapter, but they are not very obvious.
Even the first sloka itself.
Yeah, the first sloka itself has a lot of nuance that you can explore and look into. But people don't tend to pay much attention. But that first chapter has enough effect that a portion of the results of somebody who was living a sinful type of life could deliver somebody who took millions of lifetimes in a hellish planets. He had that much sin accumulated and it wiped away that person's sin. Right? It's so powerful. That is the glories of the first chapter itself. Like this, there are glories. So the glories, actually, the Mahatmya finishes saying, anyone who recites, hears or studies the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita will cross over the ocean of material miseries and attain the ultimate destination of serving the Supreme Lord. That is the power of Bhagavad Gita, of one chapter. So this Padma Puran, Gita Mahatmya and Padma Puran goes along to describe pastimes like these for each and every chapter and the glories of each and every chapter. So you can imagine what benefit we can get by studying the Bhagavad Gita. Right? The message of Bhagavad Gita is most relevant to us. Right? It is a message of hope amongst all hardships. Just like Jiva Goswami had explained, right? That when all of us are facing hardships in our life. We all have lamentation. But Krishna, through the Bhagavad Gita, is reassuring us and explaining why we shouldn't worry, why we shouldn't lose hope. Right? The things that are disturbing us are temporary in nature. If you think about it, things that used to disturb us a few years ago no longer disturb us, right? No matter what stage of life we are in, what used to be a big worry for us a few years ago we don't care about anymore. All our problems, even those that seem to completely bury us, also are temporary in nature. Right? Even the worst of our problems are temporary. But does that mean we shouldn't care about that? No. Even though these problems are all around us, Even though we told Krishna that we want to live independently, we want to enjoy independent of you, and we came to this material world, He came with us. He not only created this world for us, He also came with us. He is in our hearts. No matter what ups and downs we are going through in our life, no matter how much difficulty we are in our life, we have one constant companion with us. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, 5:29, he says, I am the well-wisher of all living entities. How much does He wish for us? How much love does He have for us? That He came to this miserable world with us, just to be with us, just to support us. That much He loves us. Right? He is within our hearts. He gave us the Gita, which urges us to focus on the permanent nature of our relationship. What is our permanent nature of our existence? We are spirit soul. We are not this body. Our body goes through changes constantly, but we remain the same, don't we? For the most part. Our identity remains the same, even though our body doesn't look anything like it did 10 years ago. So there is temporary all around us, but there is a permanence in us. That is our soul. And that permanence can only be anchored through its relationship with the Supreme Lord. And He's always there in our hearts. We are never alone. No matter how much difficulty we may be in, we are never alone. When we turn from this temporary to the timeless, there will be pain. Because we are holding on to temporary things so tightly. Unless we give up some of those temporary things, we will not be able to turn to permanent. If our mind is constantly occupied by all these temporary things, then we will have no focus for the eternal. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita in 2nd chapter, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekehe kurunandana. He says, you should have one equipoised, one-pointed focus. What happens for those who don't have it? Avyavasayinam, he says, bahushakha hi anantascha. Your intelligence becomes many-branched. We know this, right? We get distracted by something or the other constantly. And what happens when we get distracted by so many things? We cannot get anything done. Bahushakahi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. We cannot get anything done at all. So we need to tolerate the loss of temporary things which are small and put in effort and focus on permanent things. Our focus must be to how we can connect with the Supreme Lord. Right? We will, even if you say that doesn't make sense, I'm going to focus completely on temporary things, on material things. But what happens if we focus exclusively on material things? No matter how much effort we have put in, we have always had to compromise. Agreed? We try our best and we compromise with what we get in this material world. That is the reality of our existence. All of our existence. No matter what state we are in, what wealth, what health, it doesn't matter. All of us compromise in material things. But instead, if we focus on serving the Lord, then we will not have to settle. We can get ever-increasing happiness. We can experience real, true joy. So whenever we have a problem, we should read the Gita for guidance. While I have focused on reading the Gita and Glories talk about reading the Gita, if you're not feeling well, you go to the doctor gives you a prescription, you see, yes, I have to take it 3 times a day, you understand all the ingredients in that and everything. Will that medicine have an effect? No, right? When will the medicine have an effect?
You need to take it.
You need to take it, right? And you need to take it arbitrarily? No. You have to take it per the instructions given by the doctor. When you follow the instructions of an expert and you take the medicine recommended by that expert, then your diseased condition will go away. The scriptures call us conditioned souls because we are under the control of this material energy. The one who can free us, right? If our hands are tied behind our back, who can free us? One whose hand is not tied, right? Krishna is the supreme controller. His hands are not tied. He is above all of this, right? Krishna says, Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. That under his instructions, under his guidance, the material nature is functioning. So he is not controlled by his material mode, by this material nature like we are. We are affected by it all the time. So to become free, the expert is one whose hands are untied, that is the Supreme Lord. He has given us instructions, the manual, as some of you said. And if we follow these instructions and we apply the knowledge in the Gita, then we will get all these benefits that we read today. So hopefully that is the content. Are there any questions or comments, please? Yes.
For instance, like if we get human life,
I can repeat the question, Prabhu.
by the mercy of God, we get human form of life. But if somebody misuse it and enter into the repetition of cycle of birth and death, so how long it will be like whole duration, if you know?
Yeah, so the question is, when I said that there are 84 lakh species, we've now taken human birth, but if we do not go back, get liberated and go back to the Supreme Lord and we have to take another birth, if it is not human, how long will it take to get human form? So the laws of karma are very, very exacting, but they are very nuanced. It's very difficult to give a generic answer. But typically, I will tell you, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that whatever you think of at the time of death, that you will attain. Right? Yam yam vapi smaram bhapi, tyajantyante kalevaram. So whatever you think of at the time of death, that you will attain. So then, one may say, okay, if at the time of death I think of, I want to be rich, right? At the time of death I think of money, and I die, I'll become rich in the next birth. Not really. If your karmic balance, if your karma says that you should only get a body of a cockroach, you may be in a big treasury, but you may be born as a cockroach in that treasury, right? So your desire is there, but on top of it, what karma you have done comes into effect. And depending on the karma that you have done and your desire at the time of death, you take the next birth, you get the next birth. And position of your next birth determines how long it takes for you to come back to human form. So all other animalistic forms, all other forms of life do not have the higher intelligence that human beings do, right? So they are not affected by karma. In the sense that they are not, I shouldn't say they are not affected by karma, they don't earn karma. They just burn karma. They just go through their reactions. They do not add to their karma. They just have to suffer their reactions. Because they don't have the intelligence to decide what is right, what is wrong. We have that higher intelligence. So Prabhupada says, if you have that higher intelligence, what is it that you are doing that the animals are not? Right? If all you are doing is eating, sleeping, mating and defending, then there is no difference between us and animals. So, depending on if you were born as a cockroach, it will take you much longer to come back as a human. If you were born as a cow, you will come back in 1 or 2 births. If you were born as a dog, it will take you 20, 30 births. So it's not an easy answer. So it depends on what our karma is and what our desire at the time of death is. That is why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says you should just try to finish your business here and go. Now that you have a human form of life, you must Enquire, the scriptures say. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Therefore, enquire and make progress towards your eternal path. Otherwise, the cycle will continue, never ending. This Manvantara is 300 million years, 320 million years. And there is 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. Then there is one night of Brahma. Then there is 100 years of Brahma, and that is the existence of this creation. Then there is more creation. It's just the math is almost mind-boggling. Right? That is the risk that we play with. And our odds of getting human form is 1 out of 84 lakh. Unless we take, our position is very desperate. Unless we take to bhakti, we are in a very dangerous situation. The scriptures explain.
Even to get the next body, sometimes it may take long time.
Correct.
The soul sometimes just roam around. If
Yes.
someone doesn't do thought about this kind of activities on behalf of you,
Yeah.
then it may not take any body.
Correct. You may not, that is also true. You can even become a ghost. You may not even take a body, right? So it may take you forever before you come back to this cycle again. Any other questions or comments? Was that?
I have a question.
Yes, Prabhu.
I've tried to read Gita on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to read Gita in a study group.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to read Gita with the instructions from a scholarly person who I consider as my Siksha Guru, right? So for some of them who are new to this group, what is your recommendation for them to start, going through the habit of reading and interpreting it the way it is meant to be? Any guidance?
Yeah. It's a great question, Prabhu. Thank you so much for asking that. If you think about it, the first step, right, from the Gita Mahatmya that we read, the first step is to acquire one. Because just by having one in your house has the effect of places of pilgrimage and all of that, right? And we also saw that Gita is a deity form, right? The Gita is a form of the Lord himself. So to bring Gita into your house is the first step. That must be done first, right? Once you have it, and again, we didn't read the preface of the Gita fully, but Prabhupada talks about towards the end of the preface, he talks about the importance of presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is. There are many, many versions of Bhagavad Gita, but many of them have political commentary. They have inserted their own things into it, the commentators. Those don't have the same effect, right? So you must get Bhagavad Gita as it is. You must get a version that is true to the message that comes from Krishna. This knowledge in its true form comes through a disciplic succession. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. So Prabhupada in page 30 of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, at least the hardbound page 30, he gives the disciplic succession. He says this knowledge starts from Krishna, comes through all the way here. Right? So one, acquire Bhagavad Gita. Two, acquire the version that is true, right? That is as it is. I'm not saying this is the only one. I'm saying this one I know to be true. If there are others, there may be others, right? I'm not excluding others. But this one I know is true to what Krishna originally intended. Right? Once you have done that, you start reading. But the danger, as Prabhu mentioned, the danger of simply reading on your own is that you will take what you want out of it. Right? Because there are some verses that you can misinterpret. In fact, there are very popular verses, very famous verses, right? Like Karmanyavadikaraste, that people tend to misinterpret. They say that, oh, Krishna is saying in the Gita that one must work. Right? One must work for the results. But no, that is not what he's saying in that sloka. So there are common misconceptions like these and misunderstandings that we may draw because we are not pure enough yet. So in that case, one must associate with others. That is why Prabhupada set up this type of programs, so that you can come in association and you can say, Ask others, ask the speaker here, whoever is the speaker, or ask the others who are around. Hey, I read this shloka, this is what I understood from it. Is that right? What is your take on it? Then you learn the other person's perspective. But there is a check and balance. Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, all three should match. Right? That is a check and balance. Until you have come to a stage where you know enough of Shastra to be able to judge whether it is right or not, you should come to association and you should understand. You should come to these programs every week to try and understand better. Because when you read like that, then your knowledge improves. The other way around is also not good. If you just come here and go and don't read, that is not good. So Prabhupada set up book reading, right? You should come here, go back and you should apply. You should learn, you should try to extend your knowledge more and you should apply. Right? And last week we talked about chanting. Right? That is the most effective way of removing our lamentation. When we chant, then we start. That is the first application of Bhagavad Gita. When you start to chant the Lord's names with some faith in the Bhagavad Gita, then you will start to see results. And from there, you only go up. Right? So to summarize, acquire a Bhagavad Gita version that is true. Start reading and discuss with others. That is how your learning will grow. Right? And again, when you discuss with others, if you have health issues, you don't walk up to the street and find somebody who is walking by and say, look, I have this, severe headache, what do you recommend I do, right? We don't do that, do we? Why would we do that with spiritual topics? Spiritual knowledge also should be acquired from a bona fide source. So you should come to these type of programs, understand. In one of the bona fide disciplic succession. Then you will grow. We will all grow together. That is the beauty of this setup. When you come regularly, all of us benefit, all of us grow. Yeah.
And specifically, as we are planning for the next year roadmap for the preaching, maybe we will include Kirtan course or something.
Yeah. We should. Yeah. We will start.
We have to plan and settle, but
yeah. After we cover the basics, we will start. Yes.
I have one suggestion.
Yes.
There is this Gita Prava happening right now, every day. And Gauranga Darshan, he is the dean of Vedic institute from Vrindavan. So that is happening for every day for 40 minutes. So right now we are completing chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. So those who are interested, I'll make sure that he gives the link to everyone. It's happening every day. Starts at 8:30 in the evening, goes to 9 o'clock, 9:10 in the night. So it's convenient for everyone to start from there, and we can take other steps also. How we can create our own study group. We can do those measures later.
Yeah. So these programs on Saturdays, we will be mostly based on Bhagavad Gita, right? So we will study. Yes, there are many sources available like that. That is a wonderful one for this month, right? It's a great opportunity to hear. So thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Please forgive me if I misspoke. Hope to see you all again next week.
Thank you so much, Adishyam Dasa. This was such a wonderful insight on the glories of, not just the glories of Bhagavad Gita, but what is the Gita, first of all, and why should one even attempt at reading it. And so I'm just going to remind everybody once again, we have Gitas available in various different languages on our boutique table. It's also available at the Namaste Windsor grocery. So please pick a Gita up. It's not only for old people that once you reach 65 or 70 that you start reading Gita. That's not it. It's a manual for life. And so let's not look at it as a Vedic spiritual scripture and be intimidated by it. Let's look at it like a manual for us. If we buy something and we don't know how to operate it, we look at manuals. So this is just like that. So I would recommend everybody, or I would request everybody to pick up a copy of Gita in whatever language that you're comfortable in. At this point, we will, I see a few new faces, so we're going to invite all the newcomers for our temple program to introduce themselves, let us know what their name is, how they found out about us, and we're very happy to have their association. Start with you, Devi. I know who you are, but can you introduce yourself? Introduce yourself.
Thanks. My name is Vijay. Vijay Sujay. I'm the president of Mr. Pramala, and I heard about this program, and I talked to our Fiji, and so I thought I will participate and get some kind of experience from this presentation. So it's a wonderful Swamiji's explanation was very well, and it's in a simple term that you explain, maybe part of the Gita, maybe a small part of the Gita, And I was telling you yesterday, I used to be, I was a resident of Ramkrishna Much in Nagpur. It's a Swami Vivekananda's Guruji. So he established it when I was a student here. And I was 16 years old at that time. So we used to have a lot of good speakers, very knowledgeable speakers. Ramkrishna Mission, the people gurus here are like the PhDs and really learning because so at the age of 16 you don't understand everything was going on over my head. Now I have been wiser, now I can understand those things in a better way. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Welcome to our ISKCON Temple program. Anybody else coming for the very first time? Yes, you.
Hi, I'm Jay Mukwana. I'm living in Windsor for last 3 years, and I came to heard about this program from my sister. Like you guys were putting everything on social media, so that's very best thing. Otherwise, if you are not doing that one, I will not able to hear. So that's the only thing. And I got it from my sister. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you, Prabhu. Welcome. Anybody else here for the very first time? Very well, Mataji. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Diksha. So I'm a student from the Windsor. I'm studying in Sandra College, but I'm working in Namaste Indian Supermarket. Thank you, Krishna.
Make sure
Jai. So,
it's a copy.
anybody wants a copy of the Gita? We have a representative of Namaste right there. Anybody else here for the very first time? I don't think so. I think we're all a part of the congregation. Well, thank you so much for attending today's program. We'll invite everybody to take prasad, but before that, we do chant the verse that is generally chanted in ISKCON before we offer ourselves to the Mahaprasad that has been offered to the Lord.
So this it actually expresses gratitude to the Lord for giving us the food, right? So that is for sanctified food. So Mahaprasade Govinde, Namo Brahmane Vaishnave, Swalpa Punyalatam Rajan, Vishwasumeta Jayate, Sharira Avidyajal, Jodendriya Tabekal, Jive Fele Vishay Sagre, Taramadye Jitvati, Logomoy Sudurmati, Take Jeta Katina Samsare, Krishna Varadoyo Moy, Kori pare jivajai, Swaprasadana dilobhai, Seyanam viltapao, Radha Krishna guna gao, Premi Rako Chaitanya Jai Nimai Jai Nikai, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna,
Krishna Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Rama Hare Rama,
Hare Rama Hare Rama,
Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Mahaprasadam ki jai. Please, also the plates are set up that day. Please take one for yourself.